Hey, welcome back to CAD tutorials for Team 2813 Hardware Design. In this video we're going to be going over gussets and Bellypans for the drivetrain, and if we have time I might throw in some wheels and bearing block CADs in there also. So if you're taking this tutorial right now, I'm assuming you've already done the drivetrain frame tutorial where we made this piece right here, and for that it's not that hard. I think it's like a 15-minute video. Go through that if you haven't seen that. And so yeah, let's start CADing it. So the first thing we're going to do is the belly pan. So that's the pan that holds everything together on the bottom, and it's riveted on to the bottom of this sheet right here, or not sheet, but these pieces right here. So what you're going to want to do is select one of the bottom faces, make a new sketch. You can press S to make the new sketch, and then you're going to want to make a center rectangle. So that's the R hotkey, as you can see, not there. So R, and that's going to give you a center rectangle. You're going to want to drag it out to the corner, and since it's a square by default, it's going to give you that. So that's going to dimension it automatically. As you can see, it's black, right? You can't move it anywhere. And then what you're going to want to do is select all four sides of the square and then press O. That's the offset key. And then, oh wait, no, sorry, I'm thinking of a different thing. Yeah, so yeah, you're pretty much done with that. It's as easy as that. Actually, you can add in some sketch fillets right here. So if you do a Shift F, that brings up the fillet tool. That's this one right here, and you can select corners, and if you can see that it's a very small curve to prevent you from cutting your fingers, to make parts easier to machine on a CNC, because they're not well with hard corners. They don't work well with hard corners. So you're just going to select every edge or corner right there, and then you're going to click, and it's going to be done. And enter to finish it. And then what you're going to want to do is extrude that. I think typically we go for a 1/4 inch. So that's 1/4. And if it's not, then it's very easily editable. But I think we're making this out of polycarb, so 1/4 should be well and good. I think it might be 1/8. I'll let you know if it's 1/8. So yeah, as you can see, it's already in the new section of the extrude, and then you can just check that, and you have your belly pan. But how is that going to connect to this? So we made all these holes, and they go all the way through on both sides. So we can make the same holes on here, and then rivet and put a rivet through there that connects onto the bar. So to do that, it's actually very easy. So you just go into, I think it was extrude 5, and you're going to edit that. And then, so we selected through all, right? And then we, remember when I said that we have a merge scope right here? So the merge scope is, you want it also to include the belly pan. But what Onshape does is it has a timeline here, so everything after doesn't include. So these extrudes aren't going to affect things that come after it. So what you're going to want to do is take extrude 5, which I believe was the holes, and then you're going to drag it past extrude 6, which was the belly pan. And then you go into extrude 5, edit it, and then add onto it part 5, which was the belly pan, or into the merge scope, add on part 5, and then it's going to put the holes right on through. And isn't that just the easiest thing? So you have that done, And you're also going to want to lighten the belly pan and make a cutout for the gearbox right here. But I'll do that when we get to the gearbox video, because that involves some of the CAD that we have for the gearbox and dimensions for that. So for right now, I'm going to skip over that. But just keep in mind that we're going to have like a rectangle right here and right here that come out. Or maybe it's right here. Yeah, depending on where you put the wheels. So the next thing you're going to want to do is make the gusset, which is a little piece that goes right on the corner, or it goes on all 4 of the corners, and it connects the tubings together. And to make that, you're also going to just make a sketch right on top of here. S, click the sketch. Alright, so in the original video I didn't do the gussets correctly, so what you're actually going to want to do is put in these things called slots. I'm not sure if you've heard of them or if you did them in the Onshape tutorial yet, but I'm going to show you how we use them on 2813 real quick. So what you're going to do is sketch a line. So, oh wait, you're going to want to start a new sketch. Oh, how could I forget? Right on that top surface, and you're going to take a line. It's going to go from the center. It's going to go center to about there, and then you're going to want it to be like that, and then you can connect it. So it makes a nice little triangle. And then one of these is not dimensioned. I believe it's this one. Maybe not. So this should be about 2 inches, because you want it to go right to the center of the hole. And then you're going to use this thing called the slot tool, which is right there. And then you can click on those, and then you get the nice little slots. And then you can enter, and then they're all defined because the lines are defined. And then when you go to extrude it, you're going to want to not extrude these holes, so because it's going to be extra. And then, oops, yeah, so just select everything that's not the holes, and then you can extrude it, which can sometimes be difficult because there's like a lot of little things that you can click on, and Onshape likes to make you click on things. So I'm going to just do this. This all seems to work. Oh, right there, it's going to make me click on the holes. So what I'm going to do is put an extra circle that seemed to go right in the center right there. So we can just dimension this to the same as the circle, so 0.191. Yeah, there's probably a better way to do this, but it gets really difficult sometimes because Onshape doesn't like to play nice sometimes. So we're just going to make another one that's 1.91 and then dimension it a ½ inch away from the other one. So, because that's how far away the holes are. And then we can select those, and then it'll be all fine. And then we'll put one right here because it doesn't look like there's a circle in the sketch there. We dimension it 0.191. Sketch and sketch. Okay, so now when we go to Shift-E extrude it, it is going to do all of that and select. You're going to deselect that part, and you're going to select these parts. That you need to make sure that it's not selecting the hole, right? Because you can see the hole here in the sketch preview. Oops, I just deselected part. Yeah, so you're just going to select everything that's not the holes. You can see that it's all working out there. You just go to 1/1/16, and then have it just like, oh, right, you have to select these parts too. And then you have your gusset made the right way. I think I'm just going to stick this at the end of the last video. Yeah. So, oh, wait, So if you make a mistake in an error in the edit, then you can just go back and change the face that you want to edit, and then yeah, it'll be all good. So all these holes will work here. They'll work with the sketch geometry. So looks like it all fits. We're all good. Right, we only want to make one of those, and then yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, and one last thing, I made an error in the video. This was supposed to fix error. Just fill in that space right there so it looks nice. I knew there was something wrong with it. I couldn't really tell what it was, but yeah, that's it. Oh, okay. So I found the problem. It was just that I didn't select it in the part in the merge scope. So yeah, I guess because of that, I'll take this time to rename these parts. So this is a gusset, and I'll rename that to Bellypan. And we know that these first 4 parts are the metal tubings. So yeah. So this part is there's going to be 4 of them, but in the part studio, you're only going to want to put 1 of them because you're going to copy it 4 times. And that does something with the bill of materials so that you have 4 separate parts instead of just 1 part that's copied 4 times. So that's better practice for CAD than just copying or mirroring the same part 4 times. And it's also a lot easier for you. So yeah, you're going to want to do that when you're making it. So that is how you make the gussets and Bellypan and how they're going to be connected. I think we have time for the wheels. Yeah, so what you're going to want to do is make a new sketch on the side of the robot. So it's going to be this side that is not the long side on there, because you're going to want to keep the wheels completely inside so they're not touching the edge right there, right? So you want to start a new sketch, and then the first thing you want to cut out is your wheels. So you're going to take circle, that's hotkey of S, and then you're going to want to put your center wheel, and that's going to be about there. Since you're not actually cutting the wheels out of the side right now, you're going to make that a construction sketch. That's the hotkey of Q on your keyboard. Click that. That's your first wheel. Then you're going to make 2 other wheels. That is a very large circle. It doesn't matter right now because we can dimension it, right? So we'll dimension this to 4 inches. And then what we can do is we can select all 3 of them and then press the E key, which is the hotkey for equal, and then it's good. So we're going to want these 2 outer wheels to be exactly in the middle, and then we're going to want the center one to drop about 1/8 of an inch, I believe it is. I might be wrong about that, but it's something that can be easily changed afterwards. So yeah, so what we're going to want to do is go into here and then dimension it from here. And remember that these are 2 inches tall, so we're going to do that at 1 inch exactly. And so that we don't have to sketch this one, or we don't have to put a dimension of that one also, we can go into our sketch constraints and then select horizontal for them so that they're both defined. Well, they're not fully defined, but they're defined on the horizontal. And then for this circle, which can go quite anywhere, you can dimension the distance, not that distance. I almost had that one. Okay, so this is going to be 1/8, which is the center drop. And I believe that's going down, yes. So it's 1/8 below the outer wheels. So that's there. And then what we're going to want to do to space these apart, the correct distance. Well, there is no like correct distance, but you're going to want your chain to be fairly tight. And on 2813, we started practicing using no cam tensioners because they've proven to be kind of bad. So what we're going to want to do is make a dimension from here to the edge. I think it's half an inch, 0.5, but it can vary because we use our CNC for this. So yeah, and then we can just copy the dimension onto here. I'll just make a new dimension because, you know, why not? So yeah, so 0.5, and then we can measure the distance between these two centers right here. It's going to be 0.7501 inches. So we can go into our sprocket distance and chain, our sprocket center distance calculator, and we can put in our values in here so that we can get accurate numbers of links. So we're going to want to put it to the nearest whole link, and so I think the center distance was 7.501, so 7.501, and our sprockets are all the same size. They're all 16 teeth because it's there's no ratio in the drive gears because that would be really bad. And the link is at 76.008, which is actually really good. So that's like really close to a full link. So I think we can actually, if I'm not mistaken, if we just put it at 7.5, then it'll be exactly 76. So yeah, I think if we put this to 0.49, will it be better? Or is it 0.51? I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, 0.51. Or is it 0.501? And then we can measure the distance between these two. Yeah, so it's exactly 7.5, as you can see down here. That is perfect on the dot. Whew, okay. So the next thing you're going to want to add on here for the wheels is the bearing blocks, because they're held in. So the wheel's attached to a shaft, which goes into a bearing, which is attached to a bearing block, which is attached to the tubing. So the bearing block is going to need a cutout in the tubing so that it can stay in there. So it's held in there, you slide it in, and then you bolt it in with like, I don't remember the size. I think it's 0.191 because it's like 1032. So I actually have the dimensions saved on a notepad right here. So the bearing block, so there's two types. There's a square, and then there's a circular one that you have for the center one for the gearbox. So the square one is going to be 1.375 in width. So you're going to take a center rectangle. Did I click it? There we go. And you're going to want to go from the center of the square out. And then you're going to dimension it. And it's going to be 1.375. 1.375. Dimension that. And then you're going to want to dimension this one, 1.375. And now it is, that's good, is made. So you can do a sketch fillet on the edge, and I think it's about 1/4 inch is the fillet, but yeah, you can do that, and then that's going to be like the shape of the thing right there. And then there's also two holes that are horizontal to this center point right here that are going to be on to hold in the bolts for this bearing block right here. So if you take a circle, and you can reference off of this right there. Oh wow, that already made it. and then right here, and then you can dimension these circles. I think I said it was 0.191, and then you can select this and this, make them equal, and then the distance between the two of them is going to be, what did I say it was? 1.875. 1.875. And it's not centered, right? So what you're going to want to do is center it to there, and you're going to want it about half of that. So it's going to be 1.875 divided by 2. So that'll make it centered, right? And so you have your first block right there. So you're going to want to also do that for this side, but I don't want to make that, right? Because that's difficult. So, well, I mean, it wasn't difficult, but it's tedious, right? So you want to be as efficient as possible. So you're going to want to make a center line right here. That is a construction line. Remember, Q for construction. I don't know why it's that, but it is. Probably because C is something else. And then what you're going to want to do is select a mirror. There's no hotkey for mirror, which is surprising because of how often we do it. But you're going to want to select the first line, or the mirror line first, and then you're going to select all of these parts, and it will mirror it over, and the holes. And you can see over here, oh, we're missing this. And look at that, it's right on over there. Perfect. Excellent. Okay, and then the third one that I said that we're going to have is a bearing block right in the middle, right here, which is different because it is a circle instead of a square, because it fits onto the gearbox, and it has a bearing in it. Well, I mean, they all have bearings in it, but so what we're going to want to do is make a new circle. It's going to be 1.5 inches, so we're going to dimension that. It's going to be 1.5 inches, just like that. And remember that we dimensioned it off of the center of the wheel right there, just to make sure that we're not just sketching it randomly on there. That's why it's fully dimensioned right now. And if it wasn't on there, then you can just select the center of the circle and then the point, and then go in here and press coincide it, and that'll work out. The spacing of the holes is also the same, so you can, they're horizontal, and then just like that, and then the dimension is, wait, is it 1.875? Yeah. And then you do 1.875 divided by 2, and put that in there, and look at that, it's centered. Excellent. And I don't think we dimensioned this hole. Oh, look at that, 254. 0.191 is going to be the size of the hole, and then you're going to select both of them, press E for equal, and that's going to make them the right size. So you have your bearing blocks all sketched out. Perfect. So what you're going to want to do is make a new extrude, and you're going to want to remove it. So the merge scope is going to include this part and this piece right here, and I think that's part 2. So you're going to want to go through all, just like that, and it cuts into both sides. So you have the wheel holes on either side of the drivetrain. And wasn't that fun? We're at 25 minutes. Okay, I'm going to stop the video right now, or I'll do a little outro. If you guys have any questions about that, about why I did things the way I did, or how to do certain elements of CAD, then ask me on Slack or in our next class, and I'll be sure to answer those questions. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know if there's anything I can help for increasing the quality of these videos. Then, yeah, just let me know. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely afternoon. Goodbye.